Welcome to Brewtok, the channel where caffeine meets comedy, science meets chaos, and your morning cup gets brutally honest. Addiction, culture, myths, memes, if it's brewed, we're talking about it. Because coffee isn't just a drink. It's a way of life. This is Brewtok. Grab your mug, let's go. Imagine this. A new drink drops tomorrow. It spikes your heart rate, it gives you jitters. It triggers anxiety in millions of people. It wrecks your sleep. It makes you physically dependent. If you try to quit, you get headaches, mood swings, nausea, even cold sweats. How would the world react? They'd call it dangerous. They'd call it a drug. Now here's the twist: that drink already exists. We just don't question it because it's old. We call it coffee, and we've dressed it up as a morning routine. Think about it. If coffee launched in 2025 as a brand new invention, it would never get past regulators. The FDA would laugh, politicians would panic, schools would warn kids about it, parents would protest, hashtags would trend, ban bean juice. But because it's been around for centuries, because kings and peasants and Instagram influencers all sip the same bitter brew, we don't call it a drug. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Coffee isn't making you stronger, it's just hijacking your brain. Caffeine blocks adenosine, the chemical that makes you tired. That's it. It doesn't give you energy. It just prevents you from feeling your exhaustion until it comes crashing back harder later. It spikes your cortisol, your stress hormone, making you alert but anxious. It messes with dopamine, giving you a tiny reward hit and keeping you hooked. It cuts into REM sleep, even if you drink it early. It creates withdrawal symptoms strong enough that missing one morning cup feels like the flu. Tell me again, that's not a drug? Imagine this. A new drink drops tomorrow, it spikes your heart rate, it gives you jitters, it triggers anxiety in millions of people, it wrecks your sleep, it makes you physically dependent. And if you dare to quit, you get headaches, mood swings, brain fog, nausea, even cold sweats. That doesn't sound like a morning routine, that sounds like a drug. And in 2025, no government would let it slide. No health agency would greenlight it. No parent would let their teenager sip it before school. They'd ban it before the first Starbucks ever opened. But here's the twist: this drink already exists. It's been with us for centuries. It's woven into our culture, our memes, our very identity. We don't call it a narcotic, we call it coffee. Coffee has pulled off the greatest magic trick of all, making you forget it's a drug. Caffeine is psychoactive. It alters your brain chemistry, it builds tolerance. It creates dependency. It punishes you with withdrawal. It affects your mood, your sleep, your body, your social habits. That's a drug. But because it's old, we dress it up in cute mugs and pastel packaging. It would be a public health crisis. Let's strip away the cozy marketing. What does caffeine actually do? Your body has a chemical called adenosine. Adenosine builds up every hour you're awake. It's what makes you sleepy. Think of it like sand filling an hourglass inside your brain. Normally, once the glass is full, you're exhausted. Time to sleep. But caffeine doesn't empty the glass. It just duct tapes the glass so you can't see how full it is. It blocks adenosine receptors. Your body is still tired, but your brain can't feel it. So you think you're energized. You think you're productive, but you're really just running on borrowed time. And when the caffeine fades, the dam breaks. The flood of adenosine slams you all at once. That's the infamous crash. But wait, it gets better. Caffeine doesn't just block adenosine, it also jacks up cortisol, your stress hormone. But alert isn't the same as focused. Meanwhile, caffeine tickles your dopamine system, the same system that responds to cocaine and nicotine. You feel rewarded, you feel good. That's the hook. That's what makes you come back tomorrow and the next day and the next. It's not energy, it's a trick. That first magical cup of coffee, that was real for about a week. Then your body adjusted. Then tolerance built up. Now every cup you drink isn't lifting you above normal. It's just pulling you out of withdrawal long enough to feel human again. This is the part people don't like to admit. Try quitting coffee for a week. Go ahead, see what happens. Day 1, you feel a little groggy. Fine, you tell yourself you're in control. Day 2, the headache starts. Day 3, your brain feels like it's moving through mud. You're snapping at coworkers, you can't focus. You feel like crying over nothing. Day 4, you're sweating, nauseous, depressed. You swear your pillow is calling your name midday. Day 5, most people cave. They crawl back to the coffee pot and say, "See, I just like it." That's not a preference, that's withdrawal. If a new drink launched today that made you feel like you had the flu when you stopped drinking it, that wouldn't be on grocery shelves, that would be on a DEA watch list. But coffee gets a pass. Because it's old, because it's everywhere, because society can't function without it. Let's put coffee in a courtroom. The year is 2025. The case, the people versus coffee. The prosecution steps up. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this so-called coffee is a psychoactive substance. It spikes blood pressure. It triggers anxiety. It hijacks sleep. It creates physical dependency. It causes withdrawal symptoms severe enough to disrupt daily life. If this drink were new, we'd call it dangerous. We'd call it predatory. We'd call it illegal. The defense clears their throat. Objection: coffee is culture. Coffee is harmless. Coffee is cozy. They hold up a pumpkin spice latte like it's Exhibit A. The jury lines in. Foam art twinkles in the light. And just like that, coffee wins, not because it's safe, not because it's healthy, but because it's beautifully marketed. If meth came in a festive red holiday cup, we'd probably excuse that too. If coffee dropped today, doctors wouldn't just warn about addiction, they'd warn about side effects. Anxiety. Caffeine is basically anxiety in a cup, that racing heart, that restless energy. Think your latte, insomnia. Even if you drink it in the morning, caffeine lingers for up to 12 hours. Your body can't fall into a deep sleep. You wake up tired, so you drink more, repeat forever. Dehydration. Coffee is a diuretic. Translation: you're peeing out your hydration while sipping a liquid. Digestive chaos. That gurgling stomach, that bathroom sprint after a double espresso. Yeah, coffee's not subtle about it. Headaches. Miss one dose and boom, your brain revolts. The withdrawal headache is brutal. If coffee launched in 2025, the warning label would be longer than the ingredients list. And let's not forget the money. Coffee is a multi-billion-dollar empire. From Starbucks to Dunkin', from beans to pods, entire industries profit off keeping you hooked. They don't sell coffee, they sell identity. Starbucks isn't just a drink, it's a lifestyle, it's a personality trait. It's a daily ritual you'll pay $8 for. Energy drink companies, they're not even subtle. They sell addiction in tall cans with lightning bolts. They take the crash, rename it extreme, and sell you 2 for 1. If coffee was invented today, the lawsuits would bankrupt these companies. But because it's historic, they're untouchable. Why does coffee get a free pass? Because it's everywhere. Because it's been around long enough to become normal. Because it fuels the workforce, the schools, the culture. Dates happen over coffee. Job interviews happen over coffee. Coffee isn't just a drink, it's infrastructure. If it were banned, civilization would collapse before lunch. Offices would be empty. Schools would be silent. Customer service would be a war zone. Humanity runs on bean water, whether we admit it or not. That's why coffee will never be banned, no matter how dangerous it really is. Let's strip the foam off the top and look at the bitter truth. Caffeine doesn't create energy. It doesn't generate focus. It doesn't add anything new to your system. It blocks your natural signals, specifically adenosine. Adenosine is the molecule that builds up in your brain all day. The more adenosine, the sleepier you feel. That's nature's way of telling you it's time to rest. But caffeine hijacks the system. It parks in the adenosine receptors like a car stealing your parking spot. Adenosine keeps circling, building up. Your body is exhausted, but your brain can't feel it. But it's fake. It's not alertness, it's blocked exhaustion. And here's the kicker, the adenosine doesn't vanish. It piles up in the background. And the second the caffeine wears off, all that fatigue comes crashing down at once. That's the slump. That's your biology collecting the debt. Now let's imagine what would happen if coffee launched today, millions tried it, and then regulators banned it. Day 1, people are fine, they feel a little off. Day 2, the headaches start. Pulsing, pounding, relentless. Day 3, mood swings, you're irritable, snapping at strangers, crying over commercials. Day 4, full brain fog, you can't focus, you're nauseous, you're sweating, you swear you've caught a virus. But it's not a virus. It's withdrawal. Day 5, most people relapse. They find coffee on the black market, hidden in thermoses, brewed in basements. Yes, coffee would become contraband. Imagine police raids. Sir, we found 14 bags of Colombian roast in his trunk. Street value, $300. Withdrawal is the smoking gun. It proves coffee isn't just a habit, it's an addiction. And if a new drug caused all of that, no way it would survive. So why does coffee thrive? Because it isn't just a drink, it's a culture, a cult, a religion dressed up in mugs. Coffee has holy rituals, morning brews, afternoon lattes, pumpkin spice season. Coffee has sacred spaces, cafes, coworking spots, Starbucks temples on every corner. Coffee has prophets, baristas, influencers, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee moms. If coffee was invented today, it wouldn't have had time to build all of that. It would have been banned before it became a ritual. But because it's ancient, because it's wrapped in history, it gets a free pass. Coffee's biggest lie. That it makes you more productive? Here's the truth, it doesn't. It just makes you feel less useless while being equally unproductive. That's the trick. You're still distracted, still procrastinating, still scrolling your phone. But now you're jittery while doing it, and that jitter feels like effort. It feels like focus. Coffee is placebo productivity. It convinces you that stress equals progress. Finally, imagine if coffee were banned today, offices would collapse. Deadlines would vanish, spreadsheets would stay blank, schools would be chaos, teachers are too tired to teach, students are too foggy to listen. Customer service, forget it. The rage would be biblical. Coffee isn't just a drink. It's the invisible fuel of civilization. And if it were new, if it didn't have history protecting it, society wouldn't even let it through the front door. Here's the coffee lie we all believe. Coffee makes us more productive. Coffee makes us better. Coffee is the engine of progress. But the truth, coffee doesn't create energy, it borrows it. That deadline you hit fueled by espresso, you'll pay for it in exhaustion later, that all-nighter study session. You'll crash for days, that focus in the morning, it's just stress hormones fooling your brain. Coffee isn't a gift, it's a loan shark, and the interest rate is brutal. Imagine if coffee was brand new and doctors presented the data. It increases anxiety and panic disorders, worsens insomnia in millions, creates dependency in 9 out of 10 users. Withdrawal symptoms rival nicotine, masks exhaustion but doesn't fix it. Would regulators approve that? Would schools allow it? Would parents hand it to their kids before soccer practice? Of course not. They'd shut it down before the first cafe opened. But because it's old, we laugh about it. That's the magic of coffee. It slipped through history before anyone realized how hooked we'd become. It's not legal because it's safe. It's legal because it's too late to stop. Coffee runs offices. Coffee runs schools. Coffee runs parents, students, gamers, nurses, night shift workers, soldiers, CEOs. If coffee were invented today, it would be banned. But because it was invented centuries ago, it became civilization's loophole. The drug that won. The addiction we celebrate. The cult we all willingly join. Let's zoom out. If coffee dropped in 2025, it would be studied, regulated, banned, and demonized. But because it dropped in the 1400s, it became a cornerstone of culture. That's the paradox. The The same chemical, judged completely differently based on timing. If it were new, it'd be a scandal. Because it's old, it's sacred. So here's the uncomfortable truth. If coffee was invented today, it would be banned. But because it was invented centuries ago, it became sacred. The world's most widely consumed drug, the addiction we laugh about. The ritual we can't let go. Coffee didn't sneak past the regulators. Coffee built civilization before regulators even existed, and that's why it's untouchable. Not because it's safe, not because it's harmless, but because it's already won.